want me to wait till 7 on that clock? I'll do that.
9 more seconds.
10. 9, 8. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'll call to order the May 14th meeting of the Cohasset Board of Selectmen. Just a reminder to everybody that this meeting is recorded, and if you have recording devices, please let the chairman know. First off, I want to welcome our new members. We had the election on Saturday, and we have Karen Quigley, who's returning to the Board of Selectmen, and Steve Garmer, who is new to the Board of Selectmen, but a member of the Capital Budget Committee for many years. So welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Great to have you. And the first order of business is to set up a reorganization for chairman and vice chairman, and I'll call for a motion.
Move, Henry Cohen, the chairman of the board.
Second.
You don't need.
I further move that,
Discussion?
may I add to that motion?
You sure may, or discussion?
I further move that Diane Kennedy retain the position of vice chairman.
We have a motion and a second. Would that be considered an amendment to the motion?
No, you don't do it.
Actually, you know what? You're right.
You do it
It's an
simply.
amendment to the motion.
You do it simply, and actually, Michael should have called it, but that's okay. You do one office at a time.
Okay. So let's do that. So is there any discussion on Fred being chairman of the Board of Selectmen for the next year?
Well, you call for a vote.
I just wanted to see if there's a discussion
Oh,
first, if anybody had anything to add.
Oh, no, I thought you asked for any other motions. then
I'm
the
sorry.
motion's closed. That's
Okay,
all
I'm
right.
sorry, I was
It's
just asking,
okay.
well, this is clearly why I probably shouldn't be chair then, huh?
No,
So, all right, I'll call for a vote. All
Oh,
those
I
in favor?
I did want to say
Okay,
something, though.
all right. So are we allowed to have discussion?
Am I allowed to say something? Well, not, I guess you can, but it isn't necessary.
Okay,
Why
let's
don't
go
you
to the
speak?
vote.
Would you like to speak?
No, no,
Okay.
no, definitely not. You
All
vote
right, let's
now.
vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, was that everybody?
Yes,
You voted for yourself? Okay, let's switch seats, quick, clearly.
Thank you.
That was easy.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very
Mr.
much
Chairman.
for your confidence in me. I think my goal is to help the town move forward and help this board move forward, and I look forward to everybody's cooperation with that. I think the next thing is we'll take nominations for vice chair, but I just want to say that I think also we should have which we haven't done in the past or in the recent past, the office of secretary also, and I would like to entertain a motion for a vice chair and a secretary.
As I previously noted, I move that we nominate Diane Kennedy as vice chair. I further move that,
One at a time.
now listen, are you the referee here?
No, but I'm going by Robert's rules. That's all.
Fair enough.
I thought.
I
the
move that we
audience-
nominate Diane Kennedy as vice chair.
Okay. Do we have any other nominations? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Aye.
Thanks.
And entertain a motion for secretary of the board.
What's the, in what capacity, what does
Well,
that person
just
do?
like, I envision it as someone that, I mean, I think one of our lapses over the years, and I'm guilty for having seen it gone, is I think our minutes, both executive session and regular minutes, really need to be, someone needs to just take charge of that, get that done, and somebody that has some time to come down here and go through things and see where we are and get things itemized and get them produced and presented to the board.
So it's beyond just record keeping.
Well,
It's
and
actually,
the-
it's keeping
yeah,
the order.
And the other thing would be, for instance, I'm taking a brief vacation, and the vice chair would be in charge, but if the vice chair leaves town, it's unclear who would then be the next in
Oh, I see.
succession. So the secretary would be in charge whenever the chair and the vice chair weren't in town.
So this would not be somebody that would be taking the minutes, that would stay with Tracy?
Right. They would just, they would.
Oversee it and make sure that
Yeah,
we're up to
you know,
date.
they would know, like, how, you know, are we missing minutes, what minutes need to be produced, especially with executive session minutes, which, as Diane has pointed out, we need a discussion executive session, but when can we release them? Because they don't stay secret forever, so at some point, their life is,
Now, the school board always had a secretary. We had a
I know a lot of
secretary,
boards
vice
do,
chair,
yeah, Water Commission had a
secretary.
secretary,
And
yeah.
actually, when I first came on the board, I thought, years ago, I thought
Okay.
why we didn't, but I never broached the issue.
Okay, is there a motion
So moved.
for,
Wait a minute, I nominate Martha Yes to be?
Oh.
Is that right?
yes?
Is that
yeah.
right?
Are you asking her
Will you
name?
accept
or-
it?
Well, I just wanted to make sure I did it the right
Oh,
way.
Yeah, okay, because I am around. I'm the only one of you that doesn't have a full-time job. I only have one, the only job I have is here. I'm paid. The rest is pro bono.
Glad to hear you'll accept it.
The economy's picking up.
Thanks a
We
lot.
getting a raise?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Martha.
I think I'll bring my Roberts rule.
Okay. Let's see, we have a few minutes before the public hearing. Mike, do we have to go right off at 7:10 on that?
On that, we do.
Yeah.
But, Mr. Chairman, in the same line that you were just talking about having a secretary,
Yes.
can I offer this for the board to discuss as well? Is the purpose you're doing that is to have someone come in and be that third person, but also to review the executive session and make sure that that's all done. I would suggest that you also consider, is that something new, is appointing a treasurer. Not necessarily to sign off on documents, because that's dictated
Yeah.
by the Town Manager Act, but a point person that will be responsible for reviewing all the financial documents before or when they come to the board, and kind of your liaison to make sure that that's done with advisory and capital budget, and also with the town departments as well.
I think that's too much, because we are a committee of the whole in the finance, and I know that Steve has a lot of expertise in that way. The board, I think, has not done enough of this by itself. A lot of it has been done before us, and we get a condensed version, so I personally would be opposed to that. sort of thing. I've never heard of it, of any Board of Selectmen that does it, actually.
A point of clarification, in your vision, Mike, is it more of a role of process?
It's more a role process, not that the person would have any additional authority than any other member, but it's just always the point person to turn to. And it's something the school committee has kind of done, where they have a person that is always reviewing stuff, and it's kind of the board turns to in case there's some delay, that there's that extra set of eyes on stuff.
My only question, and it sort of, I mean, I do think, especially with executive session minutes, you know, there's been times where we haven't actually had a scribe in the room.
Right.
And I think it would be good for somebody to kind of be able to watch that and know that we may need somebody else to do notes. And so I think my only concern is that it's not in the bylaws, and I don't know
Right.
whether that position could trip us up, so I wouldn't want to
Yeah.
create another one.
Well, let's
without doing that.
talk to town council about the secretary and, you know, just generally the powers that we have to go beyond. And, you know, right now I'm inclined to just stick with the three and find out where we are with the secretary, and in the future, if we see a need for something else, just what our powers are.
I'd just like to go on record as saying that I think that recently the Board of Selectmen has not been engaged as a whole as much as it should be in the budget process, and I would hate to see four of the members further pushed away from that process, and I don't mean pushed away in a very negative way, but just removed one step further from that process and relying on somebody else to provide them with that information. I think that we should all be responsible equally for that. And I do believe that Steve has a lot of financial background, and I'm looking to him to give us, as a board, as a whole, his input and his guidance, which we all know that Steve always has an opinion.
And Mr. Chairman, it's now 7:10.
Yes, very good.
And I
Often
also-
wrong, never in doubt.
I also want to recognize the two good boards that we have that I've gone to many times, the Board of, the Advisory Board and the Capital Budget Committee. I've gotten so much information on issues and items for town meetings from them. They do quite a thorough job, and I'd like them to be more explicit in their review to us. It would be very helpful. And it used to be run that way years ago, but I would like you guys, and particularly Mr. Pescatori, who's sitting there. I mean, you know, you haven't got enough work to do. I think it would be nice to do a little bit more.
You can count on me to speak up.
Huh? It's good.
Okay, it's now 7:10. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing on a liquor license transfer from De Niro's to Corner Stop Eatery. And I'll read the public hearing notice. The Cohasset Board of Selectmen, acting as the liquor licensing authority, will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, May 14th, 2013, at 7:10 p.m. in the Selectmen's Office, Town Hall, 41 Highland Ave, to consider the application of De Niro's, Inc., DBA De Niro's, to Corner Shop Eatery, Inc., DBA Corner Shop Eatery, located at 235 Hull Street, Cohasset, Massachusetts, to transfer its annual all-alcohol on-premise license to Corner Shop Eatery, Inc., doing business as Corner Shop Eatery, same address. The proposed manager is Ronald P. Vail. The premises consist of a lounge, 2 dining areas, kitchen and office, and storage. There is a handicapped accessible entrance on Hull Street of the building. On the Hull Street entrance of the building, the public is invited to offer input on the proposed in writing in advance of the public hearing or in person at the hearing. Is there anybody here on this matter?
I'm Ronald Vale.
Come on up. How are you doing, Mr. Vail?
I'm well, thank you. How are you all?
Hi.
Very well,
Fine,
thank you.
fine.
It's okay to,
Sure,
Please,
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Just state your name for the record and the microphone so they can hear you at home.
sure. My name's Ronald Vale. I live at 212 Hull Street, over on the Hingham side
Okay.
of the
Stone's throw
the
away.
line. The
Yeah.
stones, a little literal stones throw away.
So tell us a little bit about your proposal.
Well, I have a few packets here, Tracy. I'm not sure if I can
Sure,
hand these out.
yeah.
This is just a little background
Very
on
nice.
the concept.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. My background, my wife's background, there's also
Thank you.
a very.
Thank you.
Sure, of
Thanks.
course. There's also a little menu there, but please don't tie us to that because it is ever changing.
It says sample.
Yeah, okay, so there you have it.
You're clear.
What we're hoping to do is take over De Niro's, actually close it for about 2 months to do some renovation work, and then reopen it under the Corner Stop Eatery name as a modern American tavern, I suppose would be the best way to describe it.
Right down the street.
Oh, good.
Always
Where
about
you
you.
gonna be?
It is always about me and my food. Thank you.
So we hope to do our best to put those, to make it an everyday place, an everyday stop, something at the top of people's minds when they come home from work. We want to do our best also to incorporate local produce, local farms, such as Holly Hill, into our daily menu.
Very good.
Cornell University is one of the top schools, hotels. You have an excellent academic background.
I wish I could take credit for that. That's actually my wife's. I'm sorry.
It says
Yeah,
Rudy.
Rudy.
It
Yes.
said Rudy. I thought that was you.
My
However-
name's Ron.
Oh, okay.
Rudy and
The
Ron,
Culinary
yes.
Institute of America and the New York University is no
Well,
slouch either,
thank
so.
No, I mean, I didn't see, I skipped that page. That's very good also. I've known some people that have gone to that.
Well, thank you.
Very good.
So this has been a lifelong dream for ourselves, and in fact, our two kids even, we're proud parents of a 7 and 5-year-old. They get on the bus and go to East School right down in front of our house, which is about 5 or 6 houses away from De Niro's. So we're, of course, looking to be good neighbors and have them get off the bus and come on down to see us and be a part of it as they grow up.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions for Mr. Vail?
No, so would you like a motion to move?
Well,
to-
just see if there's anybody is there anybody in the audience here to speak on this?
I just have a question.
Yeah.
About how your parking seems to be a problem at the current restaurant now on Saturday nights and Friday nights. Everyone scatters across the road. Have you made a plan for that?
We are certainly open to suggestions. That's always a crowded area. Living there for 9 years now, we're certainly well aware of it. One of the things that I've done working in I've worked in a number of different suburban neighborhoods before, also in my background, and we've had similar problems. One thing right off the bat is we're going to work with our staff to designate certain parking areas for them, especially on those busy nights when we know the lot might be full. We could only hope, and try to be proactive about it that way. Sure.
Ron, have you, along those lines, have you given thought, or would you give thought to maybe bringing in a valet service? Seeing if you could rent some space temporarily from, I think the strip mall across the street is only partially filled, as an example.
As Tedeschi, where Tedeschi's is
Yes, I think that's
located.
where Tedeschi's is. But I'm not trying to present the solution,
Sure.
but rather that maybe a valet service could provide that.
Sure, we're open to all options, absolutely, to take care of it, yes.
I'm curious about the Keno. Are you planning to transfer the Keno over?
It's a little debate in our household.
Yeah.
We're not sure. We've never played Keno before. So my wife doesn't think we should keep it. I'm a little bit more entertaining of it. I think it could be fun, but a decision really hasn't. A firm decision hasn't been made at this point. We're going to transfer.
just curious.
We're
Thank
hoping
you.
to
Yep.
transfer all licenses, but
Yep.
we haven't until my wife decides. Of course. It's final.
Good answer.
A wise man.
Thank
And-
you.
And I think you did say this, but what's your intended approximate opening date?
Likely the end of August, beginning of September at this point.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions, discussion?
No, I think this is quite a complete presentation that you've made to us this evening, and
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Would you like to be Fred again?
Sure. Okay. Nice. Next item is the summer schedule.
I can't write in those little spaces. You have to make them bigger for me.
I think, to decide on the summer schedule, we first have to, think about all the things we have to do. Again, I'd like to see the Mariner publish the list of, committees that we appoint in, June, starting in July. Some of them are reappointments, some are not, and I'd like to get a lot more people to apply for the different boards. And then, I'm not sure whether everybody wants to talk about goals for the year. That might be one other thing, and some other things, so that I think in July and August, we probably need more than just one meeting, because I must say, some of our meetings were pretty long, to 2 in the morning, and I don't think beyond 10 or 10:30 you can really make good judgment decisions. So those are the kinds of things that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think we have a lot of stuff to cover, and I wonder if maybe by the end of June, we can go on a 3-week schedule and see how that works instead of every other
Yeah,
week.
yeah.
I I wouldn't be opposed to every other week, but then I think it's gonna become complicated scheduling depending on people's
Yeah.
vacation time and.
It seemed to me last year we met most every week in June. We had a lot of things right up to.
June, but
In June we
Yeah,
did.
and
Not
we
in
only
July.
have 2 meetings here in June. Maybe we might even make another one in there. I mean, you have to sort of vary the load, but I hate to see a meeting that's overloaded, you know.
yeah.
Well, among the things that I think is worth while to consider is scheduling meetings that are focused on very specific items. As
Yeah.
an example, Martha, you bring up the idea of objectives, setting objectives, and I think that makes a great deal of sense. Mr. Chairman, if you'd give some consideration to it, I propose that we could schedule focused meetings for, as an example, the purpose of setting objectives for the year, and do it in times that don't necessarily require a Tuesday night. Posted meetings, they could be held by conference call, inviting all to join in. Listen-only mode for the audience with a public comment period where the lines are opened up. The point being that if we become more flexible with some of these schedulings, they might seem to fit into that time slot much more comfortably.
In my travels of organizing my office this weekend, I ran into a 2012 schedule, and there's the whole year laid out in December, and I think we should just schedule out to the end of December and add on to these some focused meetings. And so I go back to, and I'm not saying this is always right, but it seemed like in the summertime it was every other week, and then the rest of the year generally weekly unless something came up. And I'm tending to be leaning more towards I'd rather have a shorter meeting, but make sure we're accomplishing things instead of pushing the meetings off and then having a marathon meeting that's going late and we're feeling like there's something of immediate nature that needs to be dealt with, but we're not meeting for another 3 weeks. So I just do have a little bit, I'm not
Sure.
opposed to 3 weeks here and there. But I'm wondering if,
I'd assume, I think we have a number of things that we need to accomplish, coming up, and so maybe put another meeting into June and one more into July and August, at the very least. And,
Well, we could do it, as Fred suggests, every other week, and if we decide that
we
we don't
don't
have
need,
enough.
if we don't need
yeah,
a meeting,
Yeah,
then,
we
yeah.
could schedule every other week, and then we decide. I think
Yeah,
that's a good
the
idea.
only thing I would like to contribute, at least for the summer, I would prefer to stay away from the second Tuesdays of each month because
Okay.
I have another board obligation.
Okay, yeah.
So,
Well, why don't we do, if that's okay with the other members, we could skip,
Yeah.
schedule around that.
do
mean?
the first and
Well,
the third.
there's a conflict on second Tuesdays of the month, so.
Well, we could first and third.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you're
Yeah.
all right, yeah, that's okay.
that's fine with me.
That's fine with me.
I think that's fair.
What about Steve? He isn't saying nothing.
I'm sleeping with my eyes open.
Which, so right now in this proposed schedule, which we really haven't, we just kind of threw it on an agenda a few weeks ago, some dates, but right now we don't have a meeting next week. We have and just from the previous board, I have a huge laundry list of topics that we have to discuss, that we've voted on discussing,
true.
et cetera. So I think the 5/28 meeting's gonna be pretty substantive, and probably the following week, which is June 4th, which is on here. Then we skip, and then the 18th,
Those fit on first and third.
right, and those are first and third. The first in July happens to be,
The second.
right,
Yeah.
the 4th of July week. It doesn't pose a problem for me, but it's just something to consider, and maybe we'll end up doing 6/25 instead
Well,
of
actually, you might
7/2.
ending up doing two sequential meetings.
Right, that's, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion, Diane, the 25th rather than July 2.
So why don't we do that? And then in one of those meetings, assuming we do have some kind of a goals and objectives meeting, which I'm a huge proponent for as often as we can, that's really just to focus on big picture policy type things. maybe then we can really chunk and plan out the rest of at
Yeah.
least the calendar year.
Yeah, so then would we be looking at 7/9?
Probably 7/9,
7/9 and the 16th.
Instead
or
of-
7/9 and 7/23 maybe. I don't
You
know.
had the issue in the second, the 9th is the second.
Oh, yeah, you're right, sorry, thanks.
Mhm.
Because we had the 16th would be the third meeting after if you look at
Oh,
September
I know, but we weren't.
for July and August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you can eliminate the 16th and have the 9th and the 29th, and then 2 weeks.
The 9th and the 23rd?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have an issue on the 9th with another board.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I
That's my
see.
problem.
see, the 9th.
It's just the second
That's the
Tuesday.
second
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, so if we
Gotcha.
can avoid it, I'd appreciate it, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
obviously
Well,
when things come up.
But we really need
I-
a couple in each.
I think, I don't know, I think that's a long time to wait until the 16th. Maybe we should do the 2nd.
Well, why don't we schedule it? If we don't need it, we don't
Right.
need it.
Yeah, okay.
So we have,
The second.
so far, we've got the 2nd, 16th, and 30th in July, and the 4th, 18th, and 25th in June.
Yeah.
4th, 18th, and
And then,
The 4th, 18th, and what was the other one in June?
25th.
Yeah,
Okay.
25th in June, yeah. Because then I think you have sometimes transfers.
Yeah, it's the end of the fiscal year, we're
Yeah,
gonna,
we're getting,
some
that's
loose
where we
ends.
need that.
and if we don't need it, we'll cancel it.
Yeah,
Maybe it would be helpful, I remember in the past, we would get a list of all the dates out, such as what Fred has here, and then if anybody had any conflicts, we could get
Yeah.
back to the town manager, and then the board would schedule around that.
What I would suggest is just go through August right now, and let's
Yeah.
put the dates down, and then,
how about the first and third Tuesdays in August, which would be the 6th and the 20th?
20th, fine.
we'll put together a schedule from there out, going first and third Tuesdays from September through December. And then if there's a holiday week, then you can adjust that.
Well, in the past, I was accustomed to meeting weekly, and, unless
Yeah.
you have a break somewhere. We could break on the second Tuesdays for Diane, but I think as you start into that cycle after Labor Day, we
We have a
have a
meeting
lot of
every week.
discussion to
I think
do,
we do.
goals and
Okay.
stuff, yeah.
And
That's
you're
fine.
working on budgets and giving stuff to the advisory board.
And, look at the holidays and shift what has to be shifted until we get in.
And there
Through
are enough
December.
holidays that
Yeah.
it breaks things up.
But, and also if there's gonna be a cutout for a special, when that is and what we need to do around that. If, we may not have one, but, we should plan for it if we
Okay.
need it.
All right.
So from September on, you'll go weekly, but
Except
for a
the
holiday.
second Tuesday,
Except,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll skip the second Tuesday.
Thank you for that.
yeah, and
That's
then, and then any holidays or anything that makes sense to,
Yeah,
You know.
holidays.
I mean, if we're like in really great shape in, end of October, we can
Yeah.
skip a
Okay.
meeting here.
Yeah, okay.
Get sick of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I
Sounds
think
great.
we'll wait for that to come back and double check it against our schedules, okay?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll email that out to you.
Okay, schedule orientation. Mike, what's that?
That's what
Oh,
town
that-
council for the new members is
Oh,
to
okay.
schedule an orientation with town council to understand roles, responsibilities, legality.
Okay, is
So
that
we need-
one-on-one with town council? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay,
So we need to do that.
That was.
Again, congratulations to our two newest members and a
Thank you
returning
very-
member. We've
Thank
served
you.
before together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Michael, when town council comes, having been a selectman before and having served, I think we can probably move rather quickly through ethics and open meeting law and whatnot. Would you ask him to be prepared to give an update on the existing litigation pending against the town?
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to know what's there and where it's at.
We can do that, but also I just want to, some of the litigation is no longer being done by town council. It's being done through our insurance provider. So we probably, if you wanted to talk about all the litigation, particularly as it gets into personnel items, then we'd have to bring the other council in to update you on that, which we can do as well. So we probably have to schedule two.
Is there a time, or is there a time where it would be getting to a update for the whole board?
Could we schedule that one at one of these meetings, possibly
an-
in
Yeah,
we
executive
could.
session?
Wasn't
Well,
too
my
long ago, there was a list given to us. Maybe we could
Yes.
reissue that list.
Yeah.
Yes,
That would be
that was
helpful.
very good, that
And
was
then,
excellent.
that was just from town council,
Yes.
so maybe a second list from our insurance providers.
Yep.
Would be good, so everybody can get up to speed on what's what.
My understanding
Where
is
we're
there's a
at.
folder in this office that has all the pending litigation,
Yes.
Thank you.
so that can be looked at.
Um,
I think one of the things that we have talked about is having town council come for another matter next week, at the 28th
Yeah.
meeting. So, maybe he can be prepared to discuss a few things. And the other thing, and I don't know if you want to take care of this, Fred, with council, but we really should have another open meeting law workshop, which we might be able to get from the Norfolk County Attorney General's office, which I think is what the Mariner mentioned.
Okay, yeah.
They did maybe 4 years ago. 2 years ago, town council came in and did an open meeting law workshop. But I think that's always a good thing to offer once a year
Yeah.
and offer another public records workshop as well. So that's something we can,
When I was selectman, we did this about every 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And you'd invite all the different boards to
Yep.
come.
absolutely.
And it's very,
It
Very
would be nice, I
important.
know it's not always possible for, the chair of each board to attend on a certain night, but it would be nice if a member from each board or committee or commission could be in attendance and be responsible to report back to those who would not able to come in.
Okay, any other discussion on that?
Just one more
Yeah.
thing. Would it be possible to schedule brief meetings at their convenience with finance director, the treasurer? I understand that the IT guy is, the IT person is on jury duty at the moment, but when he returns, and also the building is that the right title, building facilities, or is it the
Facility.
engineer?
The facilities would be Mark Kelly,
Okay, how about the planning?
the
gentleman you
Director
got.
of Project Management and
The Director
Planning.
of Project Management. I'd just like to introduce myself and hear from them very briefly what they've been doing.
We can do that.
To get up on speed. But at their convenience, I don't want to interrupt their work schedules or impede their progress in any way.
We can do that. And also at the 28th meeting will be our business meeting, where we'll have the finance team come in and give a detailed update too as to where we are year-to-date on information. But we can do that, and an additional one offline if that's what you'd like. I'm hearing you want to have one offline.
I'd just like to meet them and introduce
Perfect.
myself and establish a relationship. I don't need 2 hours of their time, just,
Okay.
brief,
All right, we'll sit down and work on your schedule, and Steve, the same thing with you.
I've actually already
Okay.
been in touch with Paul Durensis, and I'm just waiting for word back from him. I offered him the possibility of just getting together in Boston to do this.
Okay. And-
Good.
So, I'm fairly comfortable with
The
working with the other departments.
Department heads, okay.
You know.
All right, so we'll coordinate that.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Okay, next item is the Board of Selectmen comment period. Diane?
I don't have anything.
Steve?
Oh, how much time do you guys have?
Oh, that's right, don't
We
ask
allot
him.
20 minutes for each
That-
selectman.
Well, that's not going to be that long. I just want to say, I'm looking forward to working through this year, and especially appreciate the comments that each of you have made about the board being very focused about setting its objectives for the year and using those as guideposts for measurement for our performance.
Good, thank you. Karen?
I'd just like to thank all the voters of the town for coming out and participating in the process, and I'm very happy to be back here on the board, and I look forward to working with everybody to move the town forward very positively and very focused.
I too am very happy that we have 2 new members that actually bring other expertise to the board, so we all can have an advantage by listening to them. And I don't have anything else this evening.
Thank you, Martha. The only thing I have is, I notice we have a schedule of Memorial Day activities. Can we put that on the website? And I imagine the papers will be publishing it. But we will be having our usual festivities on the,
Would that,
And
would that, the list for committees, would that go on the website too? As well
Yeah.
as the newspaper?
Our plan is, and just on the website, our plan is that the Chief Technology Officer has been in the process of updating the back end of the website, and we're going to be launching that in probably the June timeframe.
Okay.
And at that point, we're going to be populating that with all up-to-date information. We'll be moving, more up-to-date schedules
Yeah.
laid out for people to take a look at. We're even going to have, some of the Facebook things that are out there, particularly with police and fire, be able to cross-link with the website. So once this website, let's just call it 2.0 for Cohasset, is released, we're going to be able to push a lot of that information out. But we had to fix the back end of that first, which is what he's been working on.
I know every time the state's done this, they put a freeze on until the new one comes out, and then you have more capabilities. So I think we'll have more capabilities, and it sounds like in June.
That's correct.
I just, it just triggered in my mind Martha's comment about advertising. So if we're reappointing in June, the website isn't going to help us
Oh, yeah.
reach out to people. And I do think that it would be really important to encourage people to look on the website and find out about the different committees and see if they have skill sets or interests that they can bring and help. It's always good to have new people participating in town government, bringing, as Martha said, to bring new viewpoints, objectives, perspectives on things. And I did want to ask, I noticed that we had an applicant for the town archivist.
Mm-hmm.
Was that advertised, or have we had, I haven't been here, so I don't know if there are other applicants.
It was not advertised, and we'll be making that appointment in June as well with the rest of everything.
So that
And-
could be advertised with the
Correct.
others? Thank you.
And what I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, is I can help you draft a letter to the Mariner and or a column to kind of lay out all the committees and get that published in the next iteration of the Mariner to kind of lay out what's needed and try to get that going. And I'm sure the Mariner will also be making comments about, new positions are available.
She already has a list, which I gave her several
Right.
weeks ago, along the time of the election.
Well, I think it's important for the board to be requesting through the chairman that we want more volunteers in the community. And, we'll make sure that gets up with website version 1.0, just from a timing standpoint.
Very good. The other thing I had was Chairman Carlson, before he left, had gone through these executive minutes, and I just had one set that I thought should have more detail in there. So I've initialed everything else, so I'm going to pass this down to Tracy. If you could just kind of fill in the detail more on that one item. And then so on the Memorial Day, the Healing Field's going to start on May 18th, and it looks like it'll be open daily. And
Mr. Chairman, we have the expert of Memorial Day coming up,
oh my goodness.
and he's all ready. He's got a packet.
Hiding in
Come on
plain
up.
sight.
Well, the 2013 Memorial Day program has been put to bed. Now I'm working on 2014. So I just want to bring the board up to date in a few things that I've been doing in the past couple of years. Joe McElroy, I don't know if you know, Joe McElroy, when he was the veterans agent, when I do all the flags in the cemeteries with some help from Eddie Brennick and Benji Watson, who does Central for me, we instituted on buying these flag holders for all the veterans' graves. And now what it is, it just goes in the ground and holds the flag in place. And we bought, with the help of the town and the veterans organizations in the community, we purchased a lot of these. And we've been putting them out, and I think it's been an active program for 3 years. I think we've got pretty much all the graves covered within the cemeteries of the town. And I still have a bunch of them, and if there's any family member out there on TV that needs one, just contact me and we'll get one placed immediately. But it's a great program. I know the new veterans agent, the 2 veterans agents that we have now, we're going to continue this. We had a meeting a while ago, and this is one of the things we are going to continue.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great thing for the town. It's a great thing, and I know the families really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Tom.
Tommy, could you just talk about what those are made of? Because we've had, go
Yeah,
ahead.
these are the Legion markers that we have. In these markers, you can buy them in any version you want. They come in brass or whatever. These are this is just a cheap white metal. So, a lot of the stuff, the vandals and they get into the cemeteries and they'll steal them right off the graves. That's what they go after.
They-
This stuff here, this costs about $8. And, you know, you're looking, if you purchase a nice marker, you're looking at $30, $40.
Wow,
So-
yeah.
So we try to get the nicest ones we can. I have a foundry out in Pennsylvania that gets these for us, and I think they charge, I think it's $8 or $9 a piece. If I order so many of them, obviously you get the discount, but it's the shipping that kills you. So it's like everything else.
But there's also no value in scrap,
Yeah,
and
this-
the bronze one and the brass ones people were stealing and have taken those, and we've now converted, to, as Tommy said, to that metal just because it's not valuable.
Yeah, yeah.
Isn't it sad that
It
that's
is, yeah.
what has
A
to
lot
happen?
of these markers now come in plastic. You can get them any veterans catalog online, but you know, I try to encourage the families to stay away from the expensive ones because it's, you know. I get
Tom,
just-
excuse me for
yeah.
just a second. You'd made mention that families with veterans who might not have a marked grave could contact you to ask for one of these.
Mhm.
What's the best way to contact you?
They get me in my cell phone or email me through we have a Legion website. You can contact me through the Post website. My cell phone numbers, I'll give it to you, is 617-697-2276. And also any veteran that doesn't have a government marker that's issued by the Veterans Administration. I mean, it's up to the funeral director, and they're responsible to take care of that on the death of a veteran. They could contact Mary Snow, right, Mary? Yep. And Mary does an outstanding job on making sure that's taken care of.
Very good.
And I would like to thank Mary and the Highway and Tree and Park Department and the Legion, the VFW, the Sons, and the Auxiliary for all the support they've given me through the years to continue doing this parade. I mean, it is a lot of work, and it's, as I said, next year it comes sooner than you think. But just to go over the schedule real quick,
Yep.
the Healing Field, we're going to be setting up the flags on Saturday at 9 a.m., and everybody is invited to participate in that. And through the week, it's open to the public. Tuesday night, we're going to have a band concert on the Veterans Memorial at 7 o'clock. The Rusty Scuppers are going to play. And that's from 7 o'clock until it gets dark. It's actually their practice. And a few years ago, they used to practice at the Day Hill School, and I got them to come down to the Veterans Memorial, and we've gotten some good turnout. Last year, I had to cancel it because it rained, so but we've done this for 2 or 3 years, and it's been working out great. On Saturday is the Healing Field dedication at 1 p.m. That's also the wreath presentations, and the Cohasset, the police, the fire, and some of the organizations within the community will be laying wreaths in honor of their deceased members. And on Monday is Memorial Day, and you've all got invitations for me to participate. We'll have breakfast at the American Legion for all veterans, and I'm encouraging all veterans to come out and participate. Don't be ashamed if you don't have a uniform. Just dress up nice and just step out with your comrades. We have anybody that can't march, right? We have cars, and a lot of cars last year were empty, so I like to try to get as many veterans out this year as possible. We are a very unique community. We do a great job with our veterans programs and our ceremonies, and the community here really encourages the veterans, and it's really outstanding. And as I travel throughout the state with the Legion, we are known as the Americana, because Old Town Americana, because we do so great with our veterans. And I just want to thank the board too for for what's going on with the Veteran Service Officer. That was just an absolute home run. The new guy, Vinny, is doing a great job, and Keith German. I've recommended a lot of veterans to them. They all come to me, and I just give them one of Keith's cards, and all I hear is positive feedback.
That's great.
That's great, thank
So
you.
that is working out. Our guest speaker this year is Lieutenant Colonel Charles Coe. I do have his bio here, and I will pass that out to you. But That's all I have. If you have any questions.
I just have a quick question about the flags that are
Mhm.
purchased in honor of people. How do you find out which flag is yours?
Yeah, good luck with that.
I know, that's kind of what I've bought them for a few years, and I've always wondered, and then this year I'm determined to find it.
What we do is, the process of the healing field is to pay tribute to all those, the field is dedicated to the veterans.
Everyone, yes.
And the Gold Star families and so forth, but, and anybody can buy a flag in honor of anybody. But what the healing field encourages, that, we don't advertise the names, we just put them out there, and it's the moving thing is to walk through it. But each flag does have a label of that person that it's dedicated to.
So they're
It's
easy
right-
to
it's right on
spot
the
or
pole.
something, right?
Yeah,
And you
it's
just have
on
to
the
find
pole.
that yours.
Yes.
Okay.
And a lot of people do come down and place flowers at the
Yeah.
flag when they find it. But,
I didn't know if they were actually
oh yeah,
individually
there's
marked.
labels,
Yeah, that's
right
terrific.
on them.
Yeah, it isn't difficult, because I have two veterans that I have, one was Congressional Medal and the other one was Canadian. And I've had no trouble. You just
You
sort of
probably
run
ha-
up and down.
You probably have way better eyesight than I do, Martha.
Well, it's right up at the top. They're printed in
Yeah.
little
Wow.
papers.
Thank you.
Tommy, I'd just like to say thank you to you and your wife and your father and the Legion and the veterans for doing this for us. As you said, it is Americana. It's a great occasion, and it's wonderful to see the amount of people that come out, and the families and the children, and just coming around that corner and seeing the flags just takes my breath away every year.
I can remember Memorial Day years ago, it was just, they had the big parades and stuff, but now with all that, we've been doing here, we've turned this into a whole week of just honoring our veterans, and I think, other towns are trying to catch up with us, they just can't do it. They just,
That's
it's,
terrific.
it's, and a lot of parades across the Commonwealth have marched into the sunset, there's no money, and we are very fortunate here in this town to be able to provide that, so.
Tom, if you wouldn't mind, first of all, I want to thank you so much for what you and your family do, but I'm going to be asking for a moment of silence for a guy that used to work with your dad on the wiring department. And I had a phone call that, you may want to say a few words, but that Richard Gallo passed away, who worked in our wiring department from 1973 to 1999, and I'm told he could fix just about anything. And so I'd like to offer a moment of silence for a former town employee, Richard Gallo. Thank you. I didn't know him that well. Do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, Dick was he was an electrician, he was assistant wire inspector, and worked in the fire alarm. He worked for my father for over 20 years, until he retired.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a good man. He always, did all the bucket work. He had a
He
cup
went
of
up
co-
in the
he,
bucket
he
where
had
your
a cup
dad
of
was down
coffee in
below,
one hand and
yeah.
a cigarette in the other. But, like me with the tab, right? But no, he was just he was a great guy. He was dedicated to his job. But back then that department did a lot of work for the town with the
Yeah.
school wiring, all the town buildings,
Fire alarms.
fire alarm.
Yeah.
I mean, that department was very, very busy in
Yeah.
the day. So,
Thank you very much, Tom.
but I'll just pass out this bio on our guest speaker. And if there's any other
Thanks, Tom.
questions,
Mr. Chairman, I'd also just, Tommy, while you're here, you run the Memorial Day program and all the other major events we have in town that have to do with our veterans. But I think it's also worth pointing out what Tommy does behind the scenes when a veteran does pass away. Tommy's the first one, generally a day ahead of the family before they go to the funeral home. And Tommy has all of the state honor guards and appropriate personnel all lined up before the family even has to start to think about that. And I've heard from several families that it's, they plan on coming in and they're figuring how they're going to do all this, and Tommy just has it all laid out, all coordinated, it's done to go, and they're going through a traumatic time at that point. But Tommy's one of our unsung heroes in things that he doesn't necessarily get credit for, but I want to make sure you do get credit for because you do a fabulous job.
thank you. Thank you.
I'm sure it's very comforting to their families of the servicemen.
It's a lot because when a veteran passes away, they really don't understand. They really, who do we contact down the Legion, and and I know it's something. I know we're something with a funeral home is or whatever, right, I just start right in making the arrangements to get it done, because, once you get the call, the time starts ticking, so.
You're a class act.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Tom.
Tom.
All right, we'll see you all on Memorial Day, and any questions, please give me a call, or any complaints, because you will probably get a
No,
couple
stay
if
away.
there's a flag missing or something, but just call me, we'll take care of it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I'll have your number
Okay,
now. We'll have your number.
no more selectmen comments. We've made the rounds. Anything else come up? Oh, nothing?
Well,
You-
I
yeah.
had a couple of things on, I didn't know if it was appropriate now or in regard to the upcoming agenda. Should I wait till that time?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do the town manager
Yep.
update. Yeah.
If I could, I'm just going to continue on to the VSO and then come back to the cemetery buyback. In our last board meeting, we discussed the intermunicipal agreement with Hingham for managing our VSO affairs. As you've heard from Tommy, who's intimately involved in what happens with our veteran service organization, an officer getting the information out to the public. We've had, with this new endeavor that we started last year, our veterans have been receiving additional services just because more is known of Hingham, who's been taking the lead in this. We have hired an assistant VSO to come on board, and this is our continuation of our agreement. At our last meeting, the board just wanted to confirm that the town council had reviewed this. Town council has reviewed this. A couple minor changes were made, non-substantive changes, and so this is ready for board's adoption.
Okay, any discussion?
I haven't seen this before, and I obviously have not had time to read it. I have no reason to believe that there's anything in it that I would object to, but as a policy, I don't sign anything until I've had a chance to read it through, so.
What is the differences from the other one, do you know? What was the town
Fortunately,
council
I found a
change?
typo, which,
Yeah, on the whereas, I think there was a cap on all the whereases. There was a capital "the," and now it's a lowercase "the." And on the fourth whereas, it should be an O, should be an HE.
And where's your typo?
It's on the fourth whereas.
Oh, yeah, okay.
say for the purposes,
Oh, yeah,
correct.
four, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
So is there any downside to signing this on May 28th, especially given the fact that we found the typo?
No, I don't see any downside. We can wait to the 28th.
okay.
We can table that. Cemetery buyback. Okay. The cemetery buyback does take selectmen approval because it's actually purchasing real estate, because we're transferring real estate back and forth, and that is a authority of the Board of Selectmen. What we have is that at the annual town meeting, during the supplemental budget, we had moved $8,500 into this fund because we have 7 lots from the Williams family for $3,500 and 13 lots from the Sylvester family in the amount of $6,500 for a total of $10,000 to repurchase lots that families are not going to utilize. And then once these will be repurchased, these will just be resold to someone in the future. But it does take an action of the board to authorize the purchase of, which will be now 20 lots.
So we need a motion to authorize the purchase.
Correct.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Mary, do you have anything to add on? Okay.
Any
Mary's
further
been waiting for this to happen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I just have a question for the
Yeah.
town manager.
Mhm.
Mike, what's the demand for the lots?
I'm going to have to defer that to Mary, who's fortunate enough to be here tonight to talk about that.
We're selling approximately, I would say between 15 and 20 graves. We call them graves because we consider a lot, more than one grave per year. They are sold for between $1,500 and $18.50 apiece, so the town is definitely, you know, getting their monies back on these, graves. And these particular graves are in the, old section of Woodside Cemetery, you know, the most populated and the most popular. So there is, and then they're all in, sections where people wanna be across the street from the golf course, for some reason.
It's a good collection point for balls.
So, I don't foresee any problem reselling these graves.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay. Licenses. Okay, are they all the same type?
No. There's
Okay.
3 junk collectors, antique shops. 2 or 3 if you want to hand.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So, why don't we start with, there's a, Richard Ogden, manager of 130 King Street. Does everybody have that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion?
I'll move it.
Yes.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I just noticed that the other ones had a notation that the fee had been paid.
Yeah, they've all been.
They've all been paid, okay.
Do we have a second?
Second?
Any further discussion?
Just a question, what, the nature of the business, just a straight antique shop?
Yeah, it's a junk collecting license, right, which,
It's the state term they use, so if you have an antique shop, it's considered junk from the state standpoint. Some of these that have the equipment like Sotheby's may not like that terminology, but it,
Certain irony in that.
yeah, it's someone's junk is another person's treasure.
any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Pass it down to Diane. I'll come back this way. Next item is another junk collector's license of Cohasset Jewelers.
A state,
Well,
They
let me
would
just
sell a
say, I
state-
think this has to do with buying scrap silver, right? And there's certain police requirements that the seller be identified, and that in case there's any chance that something was stolen and it up there's a paper trail. And so I think this just allows them to buy certain things of that nature. In no way are we saying that.
I hope that's not part of their advertising.
they have estate jewelry, is what the terminology is for heirloomed jewelry.
Very good. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, chief.
Yeah.
Wait,
You gotta
Just
make
can-
room, yeah.
okay, thanks.
So usually the chair and then the vice chair and then wherever you can get in after that.
Oh, okay. John Hancock.
Next is another junk collector's license at Seawinds Charity, doing business as Sea Chest Consignment at 754 Chief Justice Cushing Highway.
I don't have it. We
don't have either.
We
That
don't
one,
have
but-
it.
I don't have that one.
Okay, do you want me to pass it around to look at, or,
Sure.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
let me pass it down
That's
that
a good
way.
idea.
There's not a lot of space on here.
Yeah,
How
just,
many
you gotta
signatures are
squeeze it
Try
in.
to play.
Yeah,
How many-
try to squeeze it in, just, yeah. It looks good on the wall that way.
Now, see, you've interrupted my flow. I can't sign it.
Next
Yes, you can.
item is Zach's Ice Cream,
Yeah. We have that.
This is for transient vendors.
Transit
That's a
vendor.
vendor,
Do
yeah.
you have a motion?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
So
Any
send-
further discussion?
Just a question, given
Yeah.
a transient vendor, is there additional security reviews on transient vendors?
Yes, in our last meeting, this was discussed that the police department, following state regulations, is doing query checks
Okay.
for the company, and also our health department also does inspections of the equipment as well.
Okay, thanks. And so is the issuance of the license contingent upon a clean query check?
That is correct.
Okay, thanks.
just reviewing that, and then we'll
Yep.
vote on, yeah. This is for review. Here's the, this is there, pass it down. Next one is South Shore Arts Festival.
We don't have that either.
That just came in.
It
just
did,
came in.
okay.
It just
Have
came
you
in,
actually
but
done
it's coming up, so
Yeah, we
we're
really
hoping
need
to
to
get
get
a little bit to you.
Oh, Francis.
I don't think we voted this
We
one.
didn't
No,
vote on Zach's ice cream.
Oh, we didn't, okay.
No, I was asking questions.
Oh,
We
yeah,
didn't-
sorry about that. All those in favor of Zach's ice cream?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you.
Get it,
Thanks for
Tracy?
catching that.
Get it?
Yeah, I didn't
Cleveland
get a second.
Charity.
All right.
Second.
Okay.
We haven't done this one.
I think I nodded it.
And did we get a vote on the consignment one as well?
No, we didn't get one.
Not yet.
Oh,
Okay.
Good, we didn't.
Jumping
we
around,
have no-
sorry
We
about
have no
that.
backup on that.
Okay, this one we haven't voted on yet because people wanted to see it
See
because
it.
it wasn't a
Yeah,
copy.
okay, okay.
So one,
Let's do
this one's done, right?
This one's voted and finished, right?
Okay.
Get the- we just
Okay.
got
The
signatures.
signatures, yeah, okay. So let's do the last junk collector, which is the Seawinds Charity, Inc., doing
Move
business.
it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So we have a bunch of social arts festival
Yeah,
ones, yeah, okay, so are these in the packet?
no.
No.
They just
okay,
came in.
so, let me see if I can spread them out here. We've got 5, is that right?
I know what they all are.
So, let me go through them. There's they all say South Shore Arts Festival. This one is Tim Bayless, doing business as Tim's Foods,
Mhm.
out of Smithfield, Rhode Island. This one is Sarah Hannon of South Shore Arts Center Festivals at 119 Ripley Road. Oh, here's another one under here. Sorry, there's a South Shore Arts Festival, and Maureen and Mel
Hidalgo.
Hidalgo out of Gloucester. There's a
The
South Shore
popcorn.
Arts Festival, and Joyce
Have that.
Dente as doing business as Dave and Jerry's Inc. out of Natick, which is Italian, ice, French fries, hot dogs, and beverages.
Mhm.
Another one, which is South Shore Arts Festival, and Gazelle and Peter Hawthorne doing business as Country Store Fudge.
So, just,
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
no,
So the Timmy Ballas, the Hidalgos, these are all transient weekend food
Okay.
vendors. The Sarah Hannon one is I
One
think
day.
a one-day liquor license or an
okay,
entertainment
okay,
license.
I'm gonna put
or
that
something?
aside. So these are all, and the last one here is South Shore Arts Festival, and Bertie Kushwa doing business as the Bistro Box out of Sheffield, Mass.
Food vendors.
Right, yeah.
Are these new vendors, or are they?
They've all been here
They've
at
all
least
been
3
here,
years. Yeah.
Okay.
So do we wanna vote on one at a time, or do the group?
I think
We can move
do
this
the
late.
group. Can't we do
Yeah.
the group?
Okay, so
can do
can
the
I have a
group.
motion for the group?
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And then, let me just sign these and, okay, so the last one here is Sarah Hannon of the one-day liquor license for the art festival.
Sarah's the director of the Social Arts Center, so I presume that's for their opening event.
Okay, can I have a motion on that?
So
Move.
moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item of business is topics not reasonably anticipated by the chairman 48 hours in advance of the meeting. Karen, did you have something, or you want to take up under the scheduling?
Under the scheduling
Okay.
now, or?
Hold
Yep.
on. Any topics unanticipated? Okay, then we're on to scheduling. The next Board of Selectmen meeting will be May 8th at May 28th at 7 PM. And Karen, you had some comments?
Yes, I'd like to request, Mr. Chairman, that we put on the agenda for the 28th, a discussion of the process going forward for the advertisement for a new town manager, a permanent town manager. And being new on the board, I'd like to suggest that perhaps, I noticed that it's the finance meeting, and having sat at home and watched through a number of the finance meetings where the information is up on the PowerPoint is up here, which difficult to read in the seats, but impossible to read at home. The selectmen have the information in front of them, but people who are trying to understand it are just lost and their eyes glaze over. And perhaps I might suggest that it would be a little more informative and for the public if we could have narratives that might do a summary, move it along a little quicker for everybody too. Just the highlights of where things are and what's happening. Excise tax is slow coming in, but it's coming in. The departments are on track, except for this one, but we know why it's off, and that type of thing.
It's a short narrative explanation of
Yeah.
where we are.
Yeah, I think that the public, I think that if we have the information in front of us and we can ask further questions, but a lot of people in the public have mentioned to me that they're very interested in understanding the budget and the finances, but they just can't follow along with that particular format. So
Mike,
thank-
do you think we could do a short narrative of?
I will work with staff and see what we can come up with.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so,
Just,
Yes,
I
yeah.
have a question
Yeah.
on Karen's request to discuss the process.
Yeah.
I think with regard to that process, the focus before we do a thing is to determine, or should be to determine, what it is we expect to accomplish by the end of the process. And that's a matter of identifying any number of things, not the least of which is what we expect to embody in the town manager, what time frame we're willing to devote to this, and finally, what we might do if in fact we don't find the candidate we're looking for. Okay, so in other words, the discussion may take some time to complete. And I bring this up only as a matter of making sure that expectations are realistic and met for the town as a whole. Okay? So from that perspective, I think it makes absolute sense to develop a process, one which everybody understands, one which is predictable and shows a deliberate method for completing it.
thank you for your comments.
Certainly what
Yeah.
I envision, Steve.
Yeah, so I think, why don't we briefly discuss how long we should allot for that agenda item, and then, without getting into this discussion of what we'll be talking about further, because it's not on the agenda tonight, how much time does the board feel is sufficient for that in 2 weeks?
I mean, I guess.
Kind of a process, it's a big
Yeah.
picture process discussion, and hitting in the points that Karen and Steve have talked about.
I kind of think that it's not a one-time only
Oh, absolutely, it's
Right,
just a
that's right.
kickoff,
kind
yeah,
of thing. It's
yeah.
just a beginning, and perhaps a half hour. Does that seem
Yeah,
reasonable?
no,
Or an hour?
No,
I don't
thought
think
a
we need
half
an hour,
might
'cause
be
I
a
think
good
we-
idea.
I
I'm
think
sorry,
half
Mr.
hour sounds
Yeah, I
fine.
I think
think-
30 minutes would initiate a discussion, certainly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll put that on the agenda for next time, and, believe we're at, I only have one more thing. I did find, Paul asked me to pull together some stuff on computer use policy, so I have, from the Commonwealth of Mass Administration of Finance, an acceptable use policy. It's basically a 2-pager. And then a Office of the Inspector General advisory for local officials on computer usage policies, and also a new employee orientation guide from the Commonwealth of Mass, which has pieces in here you'd have to pull out, but I'm just gonna pass these on to Mike. And Mike, if you could just kind of make copies of these for the next packet, and then pull out in this new employees orientation guide, whatever computer use stuff would be relevant to that further discussion.
I also found just, everybody can do their own research. I started to look for computer use policies in municipalities throughout
Oh,
Massachusetts.
good, thank you.
And one that I found is in, from the town, I think it's a town, of Medford. Medford a town or city, anybody
City.
know? City. So, but it was broad enough, but fairly comprehensive.
Good.
I think it's probably worth looking at it, Googling it, and I'm sure there are many others, but that one struck me as being kind of well-written, well-organized, not
Good.
too huge, but hitting on the right stuff.
Very good. Okay,
Thank you
unless,
for doing that research, Diane.
Mr. Chairman, could I suggest at our meeting on June 4th that we see if our CTO is available at that time, because he's gone through and assimilated
Oh,
a
good.
bunch of stuff as well, and we can talk about some of the ideas we have to incorporate this, and as we talked about at our last meeting, enhance and beef up our existing policy, because we know there are some gaps in that. Now, again, we didn't have one 2 years ago, but we have one now, and we just need to continue to grow that.
very good.
So I think that that would be a good meeting to continue that discussion.
Great.
Great,
And
thank
just,
you.
uh,
Yeah.
one- Mr. Chairman, I have one other question. Mike, forgive me, I should be up to date on this, but I'm not. At one point recently, the previous board was considering starting to do some background work on an HR function, which this would fall under. Right? I mean, a computer use policy would typically be something that would be part of an employee handbook, policies, procedures, et cetera.
Correct.
Just curious, where does that stand?
Right now, what has happened at town meeting did authorize us to go forward and fund an HR analysis for some items. The next thing that needs to be done is I need to finalize an RFP, put that out on the street, and then come back to the board with a recommendation to go forward, and then the final approval will be with the board to make that happen. I do think that before that goes forward, that it would behoove the board and I to have earlier you talked about goals and objectives, but to have a discussion on that, because it's the scope of that process. There are many things that need to happen. There are some areas that are more critical than others. But since we have to rebuild our whole HR system, to just say let's go rebuild the HR system, is going to be somewhat of a daunting task. That I would propose that we figure out, some key strategic areas, and bring assistance in for those areas, and move it forward in that type of a fashion.
Oh,
Okay.
I have one thing I've just noticed. There's no line item for public comments from the audience.
Oh, right, thank you for
And that-
pointing that out, yeah.
Before we head to
Yeah.
that, I just want to make sure this part is wrapped up.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So do you have a timeline on it, Mike? I understand your point, and I
Yep.
agree. As a matter of fact, Mr. Chairman, I might suggest that at least a brief discussion on the 528 agenda would include those areas that we'd like to focus on with regard to putting together an RFP. And I say
For
we'd
the
like to
HR services.
for the HR services. The point
Yeah.
here is that from the board's view, I think there should be some fairly broad objectives, given the input from the town manager, but also our policies, the things that we wish to use as, if you will, guardrails, be incorporated into that RFP. Okay?
Yeah,
Mr.
Yeah.
Chair? I know that we have a number of people in the community and that have been active, either presently or in the past, that have extensive education and experience in municipal HR, and we might want to avail ourselves of their input on it too. I wonder if we
absolutely,
could
yeah.
reach out to some of these people and see if they'd be willing to.
Yes,
provide us with
I
some
would,
input.
anybody that has HR experience sitting at home or listening to this, I think should get in contact with either town manager or any of the selectmen, express an interest on helping to pull this stuff together. Because I think we have talked about this before, where there may be some people that actually have this stuff on a bookshelf somewhere that we could get this sooner, some of it sooner rather than later. Thank you.
And they can help identify kind of the hot topics,
Yeah.
the real, the things that we might not even be aware of.
Right.
Like computer use policy is something that we've identified as something that has to happen. And obviously, everybody else has, but there's probably others.
So I guess I'll use that line, our agenda item topics not reasonably anticipated, to ask for public comments.
They're sitting there waiting.
Peter, come on up.
Peter Pescatore, Advisory Committee. When you were talking about committees that you're going to post, I assume you included the committees appointed by the Troika.
Yes.
I think that would be our intention,
Yeah,
intention,
and-
yeah.
The renewal on the advisory board comes up in June. There's a couple of folks that will be, so the Troika has to meet at
Okay.
some point here. Steve is off of Capital.
Yeah,
I've lost one member on advisory
I heard Steve was staying on.
recently.
Consolidated let power.
So I have an opening
It's
on
on everything.
advisory as well. Just had a recent resignation.
Okay,
So, that sort of thing.
And then you have some, because they're 6
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, that's the June 30th rollover. At the, I don't know, 2 Board of Selectmen meetings ago, something like that, 2 or 3, I asked for a reserve fund transfer and accounting of what's been spent on the funds that we've authorized. Anything moving on that?
A lot of activity. I can give you a detailed breakout of that. I'll get a printout from Mary on that.
Yeah, I just want to see where we are on, we authorized these funds. I want to see what happened with that.
Gone with
Also, it's,
Oh, they have to be expended by June 30th.
yes. I don't know that. Do
Yeah.
they? Oh, they go into, that's right, they go
The
into the
reserve.
department detail. That's right.
Correct.
So, also, it's it's May 14th. When we will be seeing the financials, the department expense runs. Usually we get them by about now.
We'll have those in advance for our finance meeting. We're just in the process of just trying to close out some of the revenue items.
Yeah, revenue is really what I would like to see more than the department expenses.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming to that
This is the
that
April.
part of the year that we need to understand where the revenue expectation
coming in.
is on that.
Peter, don't we have to do transfers too, for money?
That was pretty much done at town meeting. I
Well,
mean,
it
at year end, you'll
there
do.
could be
Yeah.
some smaller stuff for
Be
a
some-
Yeah,
select.
you'll
Well, I
do-
mean,
you'll
small
do-
for personnel and different.
Yeah, you'll do
That's what I mean.
inter-account transfers at
Yeah,
at
that's what I mean.
June 30th, so
Mhm.
that's,
And just on that, Peter, our revenues are coming in similar to budget numbers. So we have there's no major deficits that Mary is aware of. And I was speaking with her on that today.
and several board meetings ago, I brought up the topic of a process of having the town somehow approve the senior center. And I'd like to see that on an agenda at some point. We've transferred the land and all that, and at some point, we need to understand how does the town say they want to actually have it or not, before it's presented.
That'd be a town meeting.
That would be a town meeting or a special.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I would like to see that come before, could be even a referendum on the next, on an election.
Yeah, we should also get the senior center planning group kind of
Yeah.
recharged and have
Peter.
this conversation.
Well, we certainly should look at the finances again.
Yep.
Yeah, they haven't been really
Yeah.
Well, Peter,
worked
there's,
over for about 9 months, so.
correct me if I'm wrong, the land has been transferred, so now it's a moot point, but I do believe the previous board had taken a vote and accepted the recommendations of the advisory board that the land transfer should be contingent upon evidence of funding for construction. My point being
Probably.
is that we want to make certain that the the structure has the potential or has the likelihood of completion.
Yes.
And then, as I understand it, what you're asking for is identification of the process whereby the town will be asked as to whether or not it will accept the gift.
Right now, we're sitting here with private groups, fundraising and really building a building, and the town has really no involvement in it.
Right.
And at some point, at least from my view, and if the board doesn't think that, then, you can take that vote. But I think you should lead the vote or make some effort to bring the question before town
The
meeting
town.
Agreed.
for approval. So that, we should have a sign off that, yes, we want to do this, and it's going to cost X amount of money.
And maybe one of the next steps would be to, at an upcoming meeting, just even discuss and revise, if necessary, the senior center planning group charge, because their original charge was to, represent the interests in the
Yeah.
town. So I think we can revisit that
But certainly,
and use that.
and the financials need to be relooked at. The budgets have changed, and, they've gotten actually more support than was in the original planning,
Right.
and, numbers change, blah, blah, blah.
Well, given that, I grant you that the intention is that there's no cost to the building, to the town, for the construction and the actual building.
Right,
There's continuing support for it.
right.
But nonetheless, it's an acquisition of an item of some substance.
Building that you're going to
capital.
have to
Right.
maintain.
So my point would be that any acquisition of capital still is an action of town meeting.
Yes.
I would think so, but,
Yeah.
there's been no
Well, we'll be,
initiative to bring it before
we'll
town
be
meeting.
glad to,
Right. Okay.
So,
I'm sure Mr. Pratt can come in and, between Michael and him, tell us what the procedure is. I believe it's an acceptance of some type, but since it's not on the agenda, I think we can put it on the agenda and get that information.
Would you
Yeah,
like
but
that on the 28th or the June 4th meeting?
I don't think the town will be well-served if the flags opening the new center and turning it over to the town happen simultaneously with no cognitive recognition of whether you want to have this.
Put it on an
Yeah.
upcoming agenda. I think
Yeah.
5/28 may be
Well, no, I don't
busy.
I don't care
But
when.
the
I
first June
June
one,
fourth,
but,
fourth?
yeah.
I brought it up about a month ago.
No, you
and,
did.
I
You're
don't
right. Thank
want
you
it-
for
I don't want it to
reminding us.
disappear, that's all.
Yeah.
And I'll confirm with Glenn his availability, and we'll
Thank
do
you.
it at the
Yeah.
first meeting. He's available in
Yeah.
June.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you.
We have some more, yeah. Come on up.
Erin Dale, Cohasset Mariner. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I thought perhaps this would come up under topics not anticipated, but I have this email from the CTO, Rob Bonnell. I wondered if that might come up during the computer usage policy discussion next week, but it was concerning, he went through and looked at, at Martha Yesaby's email account, and we were obviously talking about that a lot last week, but I thought at the last
I
meeting
just got
that it was going to
Is
come up
that-
again.
What's the date on that email?
It was sent this morning at 7 a.m.
So it wouldn't have
Not
been in the
prepared.
packet.
No, but I
yeah.
thought maybe, it might come up next week, especially if you're going to be talking about a computer usage policy for all employees.
Oh, I
but-
think Mr. Bonnell's scheduled to come in, Mike,
the
6/4.
Okay.
6/4, yeah, so we can, we'll be discussing procedures around that and other things.
So I just didn't know if there was any follow-up on that at all, but if you haven't all looked at the email yet,
I don't
then-
know if everybody,
I
I
don't
have
have
not
it.
seen
Okay.
it.
we have two new
Okay.
selectmen that I'm
Mhm.
not sure if they're totally up on the state email accounts yet.
Not
And,
yet.
and the other fact is it just came out today, so we tend to just, whatever's in the packet, Friday is what we
Mhm.
discuss at this meeting, because we've had advance notice on it to sit down and read it over the weekend.
Okay.
So I would anticipate any discussion around that would come up when Mr. Bonnell comes in.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Russ, did I see your hand?
Yep. Russell Benetti, Parker Ave. First, Martha, you have to lower your microphone because you can't be heard at home. I just wanted to congratulate Steve and Karen And also say that I think it's a great start for the board to have unanimously elected a chair and vice chair, and I hope that sets the pace for the rest of the year. I am looking forward to continuing with CPC, and we're going to need a member from the selectmen for that, because Lee was our liaison.
Oh, yes, yeah.
But that's pretty much it. But I want to just congratulate everybody, and I hope everyone can work well in the future, and I'm willing to do whatever I can to help along in the process.
Thank you.
I want to thank you, I want to thank you for running also.
Well, actually, I was just thinking, one of the advantages of coming in short is you get to go to 2 parties, and that was kind of fun.
Either way, you're a winner.
No, it was fun. But I thank you for the good start you guys are getting to, and I look forward to helping out any way we can. Thanks.
Thank you, Russ.
Please.
Russ jogged my memory. Might be a good time, Mike, to get the committee liaison stuff out, and would look at with the 2 new members if anybody wants to do any swapping around and pick
That
up.
was, I was just about to say.
Were you?
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry to take it.
That's okay. Chuckle.
We'll get that out for the 28th.
Thanks. Any other public comment? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Did
Do you have a second?
What about the minutes?
Oh, did we have was that on there?
Oh, it's not on the.
It's not on the
It's not
agenda.
on the
The
So,
agenda.
do we need to approve those minutes that were in the pack?
We can wait.
We'll wait.
Yeah, so
just
just
didn't-
put them on the
we were just
agenda
trying
for
to-
next time,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, do we have the motion?
So
Yeah.
moved.
And second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you realize, I'd like to keep this, but would you like to Xerox it?